Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the greatest VOD review you've probably ever seen in your life. Because today, we're going to be reviewing North America's finest with Team Liquid. I'm sitting here in my pajamas with the Twitch chat, again, bringing in new questions, such as, what color are your walls, and why are your fingernails that length? If you want to be a part of that, you can tune in every Monday at 6 p.m. CEST for regular VOD reviews. Anyway, today we're not going to be doing the whole best of 5. We're only going to be doing one Team Liquid win, one CG win, because let's be honest, you guys aren't going to watch all 5 games of the VOD review. And today we're going to be doing game number 3. Game number 3 of Team Liquid versus Clutch Gaming. We're going to be figuring out how good TL is, how good CG is, and let's set some expectations maybe for the North American final. Anyway, let's have a look. So, jumping into the draft, Team Liquid. They're already 2-1 up in this series. Wait, oh no, they won this game. They won this game. Yeah, game 3. So, the series is 1-1 right now. They choose to ban away the Rumble. They banned out the Rumble the entire series as a respect ban towards Huni. The Kiana ban was something that they banned away after game 2 because of DeMonte's great performance on it, and they also ban away the Nautilus. Little surprising, but perhaps that they don't want to have to deal with it because they could be looking to first pick something like a Rakan. CG choose to ban away... Wait, how can Nautilus be banned and be picked? Something is not right here. They're definitely playing Nautilus. Alright, let's just have a quick look over here. That's a Gangplank. That's not a Nautilus. Okie dokie. So that's supposed to be a Gangplank. That makes more sense. So they ban away the Gangplank. I'm surprised by so many Gangplank bans in this series. I do not think the Gangplank is ban worthy, especially into like Into Aatrox, Gangplank is like a safe matchup. It's something that is fine and can survive, but you can also dive that Gangplank quite easily, especially at level 6 as well. Like, there are ways in which you can play around that Gangplank. But in any case, this Nautilus ban is a Gangplank ban. So TL first pick Akali like they have done all series long. No surprises, makes a lot of sense, especially if you're from Europe. High priority pick, CG answer with Aatrox and Xayah. Now the only difference between TL and what European teams may do is like a Xayah Rakan would be locked in here. Pardon me. Now CG obviously put the pressure on and they say we're going to pick the Aatrox and the Xayah. Now it's pretty common knowledge that Xayah is considered stronger than Rakan because Rakan I feel only works with certain AD carries, but Xayah works with pretty much every support. So I like the second round of draft. Oh wait, we didn't even talk about CG's bans. So the Yuumi, Sona, and Morgana, triple supports. Sona, they don't want to have to deal with Sona, Tam, Kench, Sona, Tarak in the bot lane. That's fine. Yuumi ban, because Yuumi's really strong. And then Morgana ban. Morgana ban? Why would they ban Morgana? I guess they wanted to leave the Rakan open, and they know that they could get it. So if they go for it, then... Yeah, so I think the Morgana ban is because they're thinking Xayah Rakan. And Morgana is considered a pretty solid pick into it. I don't know if they expected the Caitlyn or not. When I was watching, I didn't expect the Caitlyn. Because I think Caitlyn's really easy to shut down. But we'll talk about that when we get into the game. So anyway, CG go for Aatrox and Xayah, which is fine. TL then answer with Caitlyn and Lux. So the reason why you lock in the Lux here is because it's what's the word? It's like a pre-expectation thing. Like they believe CG will want to go for Rakan, and if they pick Rakan into Lux, then they're picking a losing matchup. So the Lux is basically to push them off picking the Rakan. So you have Caitlyn Lux, very strong poke lane, very powerful in terms of generating pressure and wave clear. So CG go for an all-in with the Nautilus. Now, Nautilus isn't like hard winning against Lux, but he has a lot of crowd control and it's really easy to engage and is hook still goes through even if he gets binded. And then he can do hook into auto, into E, and then ult. So Lux can't really do a lot to like stop him engaging on her. And it also provides good gank setup as well. So there's a lot of pressure for CG to play through the bot lane here. So TL have to be really careful about early jungle pathing. In terms of bans, they then ban away the Kennen and the Karma, both safe, blind, pickable top laners that are pretty good into Aatrox. And then the Gragas and the Skarner being banned out from TL before their jungler is actually locked in. Interesting. Because remember that CG have priority on jungle pick here. Why don't CG just lock in Sejuani here? I guess because they get the Sylas and they give the enemy team Sejuani, they can then steal Sejuani ultimate, and then they get to pick Jarvan, who's like stronger in terms of early game. But I mean, it's not terrible. Renekton is also fine into the Aatrox. I'm just surprised, because Sejuani would be higher priority in Europe, because it's like really good engage. And having spoken to Yankos, he sits there and tells me like you can really easily pick Sejuani into Sylas. It doesn't matter if you can steal your ult. Sejuani's just like really strong. And Sylas, even though you can steal Sejuani ult, you don't have Sejuani's ultimate as often as she does. So it kind of sucks for you. So I would have just picked Sejuani here if I was CG. Then you have a really reliable engage. Because then you can save Sylas for last pick. Unless TL then pick it. That's the only thing, right? CG don't want to give Sylas to the enemy team because they want to lock in Sylas mid lane into the Akali, which is a pretty solid matchup. So if that is the case, then I can understand why they would prioritize the Sylas. Because then TL in theory can jungle the Sylas, and then they would put Renekton top still. So that pick is effectively interchangeable. So I suppose it's not terrible. And then they pick Jarvan. So in terms of comps, TL have to make sure that their bot lane is safe. It's really important that you get like bot scuttle, because you want to allow this duo to push. Caitlyn needs to take advantage of her really strong 2 versus 2. Sejuani should also look to exude a bit of pressure around. Like, you should really look to play around bot side of the map, and you should leave the Renekton on an island, in my opinion. Because you want to allow Akali as much... You want to give Akali as much safety in this 1v1 as possible, so that she can look to gain priority, so you can go for early Drake, and then you can look for an early swap. Pardon me, because remember, you're looking to play for plates when you have Caitlyn. Because her biggest strength is her range and how easy it is to siege. At early levels especially. The thing you've got to be careful of is the fact that CG have a really powerful all-in. Their Nautilus and Jarvan is a really strong duo. So CG, it's not like they'll look for a level 2 gank bot or anything, but what they could do is look for a level 2 gank mid, try and put the Akali behind early, and then what I would love to see CG do is actually set up a split map, but I don't think they'll be able to. Actually, like, CG's... Okay, so if this was a European team, what they would do is they would invade bot side to gain control over enemy red, and then they would split the map. So what would happen is they would invade. How they would do it, like, they'd probably come this way. All 5 players, probably. All 5 players would come in through here. They would then force them out of red. They would ward this off. They would ward this off. Mid laner would stay while top laner bases. Where's the top laner? Top laner would base, and then he would head back to top. And basically, what they would do is they would control all of this. And this would belong to red team. This forces Sejuani to go up to top side, because they can't really fight level 1. Now, that's not to say that they're weak level 1, because, you know, you have Caitlyn Lux and you have Renekton as well. But you would assume that the Renekton is not going to be here. And, this is super useless, and so is this. Here it is. This Renekton is I mean, like, Renekton, I don't think does a lot at level 1, right? Whereas you have Sylas, who does a lot of damage, especially if he takes E at level 1. You have Nautilus, who has huge amounts of crowd control. Xayah can take E, Aatrox takes Q. Like, the level 1 from CG is really strong. So what they should do is they should invade bot side. They should take control of this map, and then this duo doesn't get to play the laning phase anymore. Because there's a risk of a level 2 gank, a level 3 gank. Like, so that means that they can't exert pressure in the early levels. And this is what they should do. And then they should abandon topside. They should just split the map. Force jungler to play through here and here. And if they do that, then the Caitlyn Lux loses a lot of power in the early laning phase. And you can keep this momentum up as well. And it would deny the ability for this duo to look for an early Drake into swapping early. So if I'm Clutch Gaming, that's what I would be looking to do at early levels. The draft isn't terrible. The scaling is fine. Their biggest advantage is that I think they have a stronger mid-game. Well, it's actually debatable, because Akali with Gunblade and Renekton with Spirit Surgeon, that duo is really strong. And you have Sejuani engage as well. I feel like the CG just have more damage early levels, and with a Jarvan, you have a really easy ability to set up for ganks. Whereas TL just want to allow this bot lane to play the laning phase for as long as possible, secure a bunch of plates, allow Akali to scale, and then fight for skirmishes. Like, in the late game, they're also, like, they have a pretty solid team fight. But it's difficult for Renekton to get onto any of this backline. It's quite interesting. Anyway. Xayah can take E. Am I trolling? Xayah E level 1? Oh, of course, because you can't... Yeah, okay. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You can take Q and W. Whatever. My bad. I forgot that she has to put feathers down in order to use her E, and the only way she can do that is if she actually does things and presses her buttons. And yes. You can tell that I don't play Xayah very often. My apologies, Twitch chat. Anyway, I hope that this all made sense, and we'll see if it actually happens in the game. Does anyone have any draft questions? Twitch chat, now is your opportunity to ask draft. Yes, I am a Nocturne one trick. Point is, I still give them a stronger level 1, even if you can't take E. I'm sorry. Isn't mid priority really good against Caitlyn? Couldn't CG have picked something that shoves Akali in to threaten bot lane? Yeah, but I mean, like, you gain priority in this lane. Especially if you're ahead, but mainly because you have more wave clear, and you out-trade her, even with the magic shield. Sylas does really good into Akali. So, but you don't look to try and dive this bot lane, you look to stop them from doing what they normally do. And in theory you can dive with a Sylas, but the whole goal should be to stop them from sitting under your tower and taking plates. If this Caitlyn Lux comes out even with the Xayah Nautilus, then these guys will have a stronger mid-game. This is stronger on 2 items. Which is ultimately what you want. Why no Corki? Why Sylas Pro instead of Sejuani? I think Sylas is fine into here. I think that they could have looked to prioritize Corki early, but they didn't want to. I also think Corki is fine into Akali. You can generate just as much pressure as the Sylas can, but Sylas has better scaling in terms of side because you can steal Akali's ultimate and you can outplay her. So at level 6, this becomes more of a skill matchup. And also, it's already slightly... This matchup is not Akali favored. When she runs Conqueror, it's better, but even then, Sylas can still do really well into it. So you have scaling on your side. So I think Sylas in terms of matchup just means that you want to be able to match her on sides later on. Isn't it better to ban Sejuani instead of Skarner? Seems risky to let CG pick. I think that they don't want to give the Skarner... Like, they've banned things that are good into Akali, basically. So Gragas can knock her out of Shroud, and Skarner can drag her out of Shroud. So this, to me, suggests that TL want to make sure that Akali is as safe as possible. They're putting a lot of eggs in the please carry his Jensen basket. Why did CG ban Morg? Because they wanted to do Xayah Rakan, is what I think. Because... they know that TL is not going to prioritize the Xayah Rakan. They'll first pick the Akali like they already have done in the last 2 games, which means that they will look to do Xayah Rakan. Morgana is considered a very good pick into the Rakan, and they don't want to have to deal with it. So they ban it away, which gives them more options to go for the Rakan. That's what I think. Validation for CG Karma ban because it's a safe blind. And it's pretty good into Aatrox top. As in, you won't lose top lane. And also, given that you've already seen a Caitlyn, Karma plus Caitlyn is really obnoxious to deal with. Not only is it really good poke, but it makes killing the Caitlyn that much harder. So they just take it away. It's just a good ban, just in general. Any other draft questions? Why doesn't Clutch prioritize Sejuani? Because TL doesn't want Silas. So we just talked about this earlier. Basically, if they first pick Sejuani, then TL probably picks Silas. And this becomes Silas jungle. And then CG can counterpick last with mid. Now, in my opinion, I think they could have gone Sejuani mid, Corki. That would have been fine. And also it gives you more options to play through bot. And if they split the map properly, then they can. However, if you're picking Jarvan... is it easier to invade level 1? Probably not. Jarvan doesn't do a huge amount. Sejuani level 1 is probably really strong. So if you do Sejuani... The only problem with Corki is like he eventually does get outscale on side against an Akali. He will eventually start to struggle in that 1 versus 1. So if the Akali gets ahead, it's difficult to deal with, whereas Silas can match her. But either way, I think that just swaps back and forth. I don't think this draft is terrible. I think Silas is fine into the Akali as well, which is ultimately what CG wanted. And I think in this series, it heavily suggests that CG don't really like playing Corki anyway. Because they didn't draft it once. I don't think they drafted a 0 either. So clearly they just don't play it. Who's playing Silas Akali? Silas is jungle. Why pick Nautilus over Rakan? Because you don't want to play Rakan into the Lux. Lux is pretty good into Rakan. Whereas Nautilus, even though he's like... He travels in lines in the same way that Rakan does. If you throw out your Q and it hits Lux, even if she lands a binding, that you'll still get dragged towards the Lux. So you can hook, grab her, and then you can smash down. So Nautilus is better. And it gives you more all-in, especially at level 6. Huni played Azir in game 1? No, I mean, that just reinforces my point. Yes, Azir is fine into Akali. Anyway, that's enough draft questions. Let's actually get into the game. Guys can watch the VOD. I feel like I answered a lot of these questions twice anyway, so let's get into it. Let's have a look. So remember what I was saying earlier on, CG should look to split the map because they do not want to allow this Caitlyn and Lux to have pressure. So they should be grouping up right now and looking to try and invade. Against Caitlyn, this is exactly what Europe would do. And I 100% know, because every time I ask them, why don't they play Caitlyn? They always say, because you get split. The map gets split on you and there's nothing you can do about it. So CG not looking to split the map. Sejuani gets to start bot. She's already indicating that she's going to do a full clear bot side. Then Jarvan starting top. Maybe he goes for an early gank mid, but you can see here the ward from Akali. Already in anticipation of it. Yep, I don't agree with the decision making from CG. Alright, is he going to look to gank? So he does red, Krugs. He's going to go into his blue. He's looking for a gank bot by the looks of it. But again, TL have already set up so many wards. Notice how there's no ward top. The expectation from TL is that he won't come top lane. He's either ganking mid or he's ganking bot. He's doing one of these two things. See? Look at this. Nick Smithy gets to do whatever he wants because funnily enough, this duo has priority. This is why you split the map. It's important. Because Because now Smithy gets to do whatever he wants because his bot lane has priority. And he's like, hey, no, you try and gank my bot lane? Nuh-uh. I'm here to protect them. They get to do whatever they want. Sucks for you. And he's just waiting for the scuttle crab to spawn. And now he has it. So, points lost for CG for not punishing the Caitlyn Lux. Alright, they're going to go for a lane gank. Let's see how this one works out for them. So we can see that TL do have pressure top. The wave is bouncing back bot. And TL know that the jungler is top side, so they're playing more defensively. Great sidestep from double lift. And they even get to win out on this trade as well. So, Lyra ends up wasting all his time. I was very doubtful that that gank was ever going to work. TL was super aware of where their jungler was. And they were like, jungler could be here, let's not risk it. So they don't. Good stuff. Meanwhile, mid is losing out on the 1v1. And Jensen's running Electrocute as well. How did Damonte play this matchup? So typically, like, you lose hard early running Electrocute. You can see he's really falling behind in these trades. I'm not a pro player, but I've played this matchup so many times. And if you ever run Electrocute into it, it's a lot harder. It's so much harder. Conqueror makes such a difference. Okay, so they look for a dive top. They have push mid. Oh, he's going for another base. I think he could have used that time to look for a roam top because Jensen was resetting. I think there was a big opportunity for them there. So now again, they just saw Jarvan bot, so they hard push bot. They saw Jarvan top, so they the duo bot lane looked to push, get more damage onto plates. BF sword first base. Again, remember what we said. This duo just wants to play for plates. And given that Jensen is playing this 1v1 matchup better than Damonte is. Okay, so what's happening here? So the duo reset bot. Vulcan didn't feel the need to, which is fine. He hasn't actually spent yet, which is dangerous. Because you can see the difference in like resources between the two supports. So he's helping gain Scuttle Prio. Ooh, okay. So they just saw Impact TP back to top lane and Huni has TP advantage. That's the only reason why I can see this being safe. Given that it's Cloud, TL's best bet is probably just to trade for plates bot lane. They just have to be careful. Like Smithy, mate. He's got no wards in his inventory, so he's just checking. He thinks he's safe. I mean, he is safe because he has Q. So, Jensen. Wow, they're getting zoned off it as well. They have TP. Okay. So, I mean, starting this was dangerous in the first place, right? I believe. Because you don't have Prio on mid. You don't have you don't have pressure anywhere else on the map. You're actually losing the top lane matchup. I say losing the top lane matchup. Top laner has Impact is generating pressure, which means that if Huni TPs, then he's going to lose out on a lot of farm, and Impact will trade his TP in for plates. So in terms of a map state, TL is in a better position to contest for this than CG is. Also, the red buff just spawned, so you know that Xmithy is going to be on the bot side of his map. So, Damonte does push in mid, but Jensen just sacrifices the farm and it frees under his tower anyway. Double lift, they, along with Core JJ, set up a flank on the other side and they zone CG away from the Drake. Really terrible Drake. They thought that they could force it because Huni had teleport. But they would have lost so much if they had TP'd in. So now, because the support hasn't reset, because he was helping set up for that Drake, look at all the farm he now loses, and look at the plates that they get. Okay, now Smithy is topside. They should be aware that Jarvan's topside as well. Because... Wait, when did he use his flash? What? Okay, I missed that. I missed him burning flash. Twitch chat, did you see when he burned his flash? When did he do it? Impact forced it? Do you know when? Let's have a look. So impact is low. What? Why would you flash that? Okay, whatever. Fine. Fair enough. I don't agree with the flash. So the problem for CG is, because they tried to force that Drake, they're not in a position to trade, make a cross-map play. Do you see how Team Liquid is pinging on this, and they're saying you might get dove because we're topside? Like, this is because TL is aware of a potential trade happening. But because Lear is not in a position to do that, because he goes up towards the top side of his map just to do his red, because he delayed doing it, because instead he chose to try and force the Cloud Drake, TL don't get punished at all. And so they just disengage. They're like, it's fine, we're fine, we don't mind. So the game's going really well for TL. They're playing the lane very well. The farm looks even in bot, but that's because the jungler was topside, I think. I'm not actually entirely sure how they closed that CS gap bot lane. But in any case, the goal is definitely in the favor of Double Lift. Because they've gotten, what, 2 plates? 1 or 2 plates? Okay, so now they start up the Drake again. Huni now doesn't have teleport. They don't have priority on mid lane. And there's no wave pushing in bot. CG are not in a position to do this Drake safely. I just want to set that precedent right now. Let's see what happens. So again, they don't have a mid laner. Renekton is moving first. He's abandoned the top farm. Props to him. In order to join with his team, and he's going to catch the mid wave. Okay. So what happens? Okay. Okay. So CG so far have not played this early game well at all. They didn't try and take advantage of the fact... Well, they didn't play around the fact that they're playing against a Caitlyn. They should have looked to split the map. They should have looked to try and deny the Caitlyn play and farm as much as possible. They also tried to force, now, the second early game Drake without having proper setup anywhere else on the map. And so far in this early game, they've just been punished. So all TL has had to do is basically just sit there and watch CG mess up. And TL has been allowed to punish them. Now, Demonte, I don't know what he's been doing in this 1 versus 1 matchup, but he has been losing it. And Jensen is able to gain prio on mid. Bear in mind, he does have a bit of an item advantage on him, because he's sacked boots in order to get more damage. Cool thing, for those that don't know, Doran's Ring has been picked up by energy users. You see it on Vladimir as well, because the passive was changed. So that it used to be when you killed minions, you got mana back. Now it just helps with last hitting. So you get AP, you get health, and while it does give mana, that's the only thing that you don't gain value from, which is better than what it used to be before. So now energy users, Vladimir, they're starting to pick up things like Doran's Ring as well, which is pretty cool. But the thing is, see, you can see, because now they're forced around, this duo gets priority on bot. Renekton is now down to help push out mid, and the Sejuani should be coming up through river. So then what they do, because Huni's here and he has his ultimate, they try to force a play. Again, like, this is a really dangerous force as well. Because even though you have a numbers advantage, you give the Caitlyn opportunity to threaten this wave, and TL get to attack bot. So even if they get a kill here, TL is trading for something else somewhere else on the map. But like, you're not going to get the kill, because it's a Renekton who's at full health with his ultimate and flash. And Akali also has an ultimate and flash and shroud as well, I think. So they force that. CG has to go the long way around because they saw the jungler bot lane. Now Smithy makes his way around to mid, but he doesn't actually have to do anything. If he wants, he can start this Drake off. If he wants to. You can see the pings coming down. He should start it. Don't dive. Please don't dive. Just do the Drake. I mean... But... So, the reason why Drake is better here is because, like, number one, you just take it off the map, right? So you can start spawning the next one. If the next one is an Infernal, yay for you. But it also gives you the opportunity to then reset, go up to top lane. So you take Drake, you reset, and then you can start looking to play for Herald. So again, TL want to play for plates. So what they should be doing here is securing Drake. This duo should push them in. And I actually think it's better if they try and threaten them off the tower if they want to go for more play. But like, you can look at how thin this wave is. And it's also what Nautilus and Xayah, who both have all of their summoner spells up. And I don't even think Vulcan needed to flash here. He just wanted to try and lock down the... he tried to lock down Xmithie under tower, so because he had tower aggro, but he flashed onto a trap. Even then, that didn't make a huge difference because Xmithie managed to flash out of the way of the Q. But see now, what the jungler should have been doing is, because he thinks Xmithie should be on Cloud, he could look to actually path up towards top. And he could start threatening Herald if he wanted to. Instead, he does his wolves. Okay, TL's just wasting time now. TL's wasting a lot of time. I was impressed, and I say impressed. I thought what they were doing so far in this game was good. I had no major criticisms. Now, they're just being greedy. And they're wasting time. Because now, in this period of time, Damonte gets to reset and look at his items. Now they start Drake? Okay. This is pretty greedy. Okay. So I'm trying to think about, like, why this is dangerous. So the first thing is that Damonte has just reset and his TP is about to come back up. They're not really... Well, they could fight this. I suppose because Cody-san doesn't have his ultimate, but I mean, neither do they. Damonte doesn't have his ultimate either, so I suppose it's a little riskier. I think because Renekton is mid. It's just a very delayed play. Everything is delayed. And I think that if Lyra had pathed up towards topside, then he could have very easily traded this for Rift Herald. But in any case, they do get Drake, they now reset, now they should look to swap. There's no value in them staying bot lane now, even if they get the tower. Securing the plates is more useful to them. They should go top lane. You can see the Akali heading bot. Vulcan already aware of the potential swap. That was well played by Impact. But think about if this was done like minutes earlier. Anyway. Please don't now start Herald CG. No! You can't, you don't, no! No! You don't get to do this! Why do they think this is okay? Alright, I'll try my best to explain this. So, if we go all the way back to here, right? Whenever you commit to an objective, you're investing time. Yes? Does that make sense? And the amount of time that you invest has to be compensated for in some of the... Compensated? Think of it as like putting a down payment, right? When you play for an objective, you're almost putting like money on the table. You're saying, I'm paying €5 to take this Drake, right? They don't take the €5 off you until you go back to base. And then the €5 is taken, right? In that period of time, when you are doing the objective, there is time for the other team to be doing something else elsewhere on the map. Because they can't challenge you, because their focus and their money is going on to something else. So, the reason why I'm critical of this play is because, yes, they get summoner spells out from Vulcan, but they trade it for summoner spells, right? But they could be getting more. They could be getting a free objective. And they could be going so much earlier on all of these plays. I realize that my money analogy was a terrible one, and I should just not make analogies because I'm not very good at them. But the point that I'm trying to make here is that this dive doesn't achieve a huge amount. Does that make sense? If they get kills, they get plates. That makes sense, but they're not going to get kills in this situation. Because summoner spells are up, ultimates are up, everything is available. Also, securing the last 2 plates of these towers is way harder than getting the first 3. It actually takes so much time. So you're actually better off leaving and going elsewhere to get the other plates on the map, right? But in this period of time, notice how Lyra here, after this play, should be aware that he has no control over the bot side jungle. Sorry, bot side river. Bot side river. He should know this. So he should now be pathing up towards his Krogs. Because there's nothing for him to play for towards the bot side of the map. However, if TL decide to start the Rift Herald, the Drake, what he and Huni can do is trade it for the Rift Herald. They could look to threaten that. They have that power. And notice how much time Xmithie is just wasting, because he's just dancing around. He's not doing anything. He comes back again. He's dancing around. Oh, wait, no, this is the actual dive. And then what Lyra does is he comes bot. But he's now just wasting his time. So Xmithie spends his time trying to set up a dive, and then Lyra then spends his time walking there to watch the dive happen. He's now hanging around to potentially mitigate another dive, but at this point, Cody-san and Vulcan and Lyra should be abandoning the tower and already starting to threaten the other side of the map. Like, they have time to do all of this, because they've been clearing out these ways. So, like, this base right now is good, because the Drake is being taken, they can base, and they can reset and get back out onto the map sooner. But of course, the base then initially gets interrupted. So then they get the Drake. But bear in mind, now they reset. So they get back out onto the map. And that's why this play top lane happens, which is great for CG. But they could have been doing it earlier. They could have had more time to do it. So now they're pinging top. But of course, TL is now going to swap because there's nothing for them to play for bot side. So CG trying to force this. And like that play in itself, the gank top, is really fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I have no criticism. It's starting the Rift Herald that I have an issue with, because remember they had a time advantage after they based, because they got back out onto the map first. They used that time to force the flash out from impact. Good use of your time. Make sense? But then what they do is they think they have enough time to then go to Rift Herald, which you don't. Because in that period of time that you were going on the offensive to try and burn a summoner spell or maybe get a kill onto impact, TL has been making their way back out onto the map. You know that Akali is bot lane, so Caitlyn is either going mid or she's going top. So then they try to start this, and surely they're going to get collapsed on, which is exactly what happened. Now somehow... Okay. This is a little weird. But this force from TL, I agree with. Well, okay, Jensen doesn't necessarily need to TP in, because like he could be getting plates bot. However, you can understand how, because CG is effectively overextending in this situation. So TL forcing this fight is a good fight for them. In my opinion, anyway. Wait, does the binding miss? Yeah, it does. Okay. So he uses the binding too early. And then Jensen gets collapsed upon, but then like it ends up in a 3 versus 2 here. You see how Jensen didn't necessarily need to TP? He could have secured the tower bot lane. Then they get more plates mid because CG is forced back. But either way, you can see how forcing that fight was only an advantage for TL. Because it wasn't CG's turn. Alright, now Xmithie's being a little greedy here. Yeah, okay, that's good. Back off. So they're taking more and more and more and more plates. More and more and more and more. So now they should clear mid and they should look to reset again. Jensen has already reset. Okay, that's fine. What happened there? So he doesn't have vision on Lyra, but they're aware that Cody Sun is missing. So they force a play on mid, which is fine in and of itself. They clear out the vision. No, well, okay. That was inevitably just a mistake from Xmithie. So now they lose prior mid, and now Clutch can actually start the Herald, which is quite funny when you think about it, considering how this all started. This is why I was also saying earlier I feel like they should reset. So if we go to here, right? So I think Double Lift should be resetting on this wave. This is when I think he should be basing. Instead they play for more plates. But notice how long it takes to take those plates down. So I think they overstay on the map. Notice that Jensen again, as we mentioned earlier, has already reset. I think Impact did as well. But now they're staying on... But again, keep your eye on the Jarvan. Notice how he's gone back to base. Vulcan has also gone back to base. So the Jarvan and the Sejuani are actually even on items right now. Well, outside of a health crystal. So he's now back on the map. He now gets to group back down with mid. All this time, Xmithie hasn't based yet. Neither has Double Lift or Core JJ. And it might not look like that they need to, but it's about spending their gold. It's about refreshing your resources. And it's also about like resetting the map state. Because CG gets a return from base, they find this opportunity. They sacrifice farm top in order to bring Cody Sun down, but it ends up being worth it because, of course, they gain control over River after finding that pick. But they use numbers in order to force this. And it would have been dangerous to for TL to try and fight them in the river. So I think TL just should have based a little earlier. Notice how, once again, Jensen has based. Like, he doesn't just stick around in his lane for too long. He's now picked up a big item. Caitlyn yet to still base. And bear in mind, Xmithie died. Look at the item he's picked up. Kindle Gem. These things, like, seem small, but they matter. So Rift Herald gets used top. And now Caitlyn is resetting. That's just not good, because you need to be, like, trading this pressure somewhere else on the map. They can actually keep pushing bot if they want, top if they want, because there's no one threatening mid. Yeah. And now they get a free reset off. Yeah, they end up trading bot tower for sure. But like, think about the different health states that they were in. Like, TL could have gotten so much more in that period of time, but Double Lift really delayed his base. He should have reset much, much earlier. But he greeded for items. Ultimately, like, The thing that's important to note here is that I'm highlighting areas where things could effectively be more efficient, right? A lot of the times you'll see teams like get away with these things, but against the best teams you get punished because they don't miss those windows, and they're even better than me at finding these opportunities. They're a lot better than me. So the things that I highlight are just things that I notice, but I reckon that pro teams will notice even more avenues with which they could attack. So when I'm watching Team Liquid, a team that I'm evaluating at like world's caliber level, I'm looking at all these areas where they could be punished. And so, we talked about the split map, we talked about that dive bot. Like CG are forcing a lot of plays where they don't have pressure, and the majority of this game has just been Team Liquid punishing the mistakes of CG. And the same thing can happen to Team Liquid if they're not careful. And Doublelift greeting his base like that can be very detrimental. So I'm not saying that right now it's game changing, and I'm not saying that they're going to lose the game because Doublelift didn't base in time. What I am saying is that these things you need to be aware of because they can be punished or they can be exploited, and it results in like games being thrown and games being closer than they maybe should be. So again, like if we look at the situation here right now, so Impact doesn't have teleport, but he recognizes that Dragon is spawning soon, so he only pushes one wave and then looks to group with his team. This makes sense, right? I think the wave might even bounce back towards him. I'm not because we're 16 minutes in. Cannon spawns every 2 waves now, so that wave might actually, it'll either freeze or it might even bounce back towards him, because it depends if there's a cannon in there or not. I'm not entirely sure. Regardless, they have 3 people mid, and the Akali hasn't pushed out bot yet. So what Akali wants to do is she wants to push out bot, and they need to wait for Renekton to group mid. So this is a mistake from TL, which aptly gets punished. Now, admittedly, CG commit a little too hard, because you can see everything is thrown at TL, at Xmithy, but he's able to get out. But, this is a bit of an overstep. Not so much that they're going to throw the game, but it is a bit of an overstep. So it appropriately get punished, and then the mistake comes from CG overcommitting. Because then what they do is they force themselves into a choke point thinking they can engage on this, and then the Akali flank comes in. So Damonte overcommits because he's now on the front line against effectively 3 members without any peel. Cody-san is forced out of the fight, and they end up dying. And see, this is what I mean, right? This isn't a huge mistake from TL. It's a small one in the sense of they try to go into an area of the map, but they can't really, because this is, if you look at it, this is a 3 versus 5. But at the same time, they get away with it because Lyra doesn't commit. Like, he doesn't use his EQ combo here. He just kind of pokes them, whereas Vulcan does. And I think, like, this is pretty good awareness from Vulcan because he realizes that he can, like, force this fight. But again, you're forcing it onto a Sejuani. You know the Renekton's on the way. The Akali has the ability to flank. And so CG end up overstepping the fight. So because they overstep, Team Liquid get the punish. And now they can look to play for Drake if they want. But mid tower is probably more important. Well, I think they should divide their resources. They don't need all 5 of these people to take the tower, I would probably send Renekton back to top lane now. They'll probably do Drake now as well. It's a little dangerous taking blue and Drake because they're going to delay their reset a lot, but... So note in this period of time, CG could actually try to take the mid tower. I'm curious as to whether or not they do it. They don't. We didn't get to see fully what happened in the replay, but because TL delay their reset so much, like look. They're all back out on the map. Now obviously there's no minion wave here, right? But the Caitlyn is only just basing, like, what, nowish? Which means that if all 3 of those players just hard commit to mid lane and clear that out, they can get a decent amount of damage down onto that tower. So again, small risk of delaying the reset. They tried to take a lot there, Team Liquid did. I mean, ultimately, what I'm gathering from this game from Team Liquid is that they think they have more time to do things than they actually do. And they don't get punished for it because CG isn't very good at punishing these mistakes. But it was also a close series, so maybe this was just one game where they weren't able to do it. We'll get to watch CG in their win, and we'll get to see if Team Liquid make those same mistakes as well. But they highlight the goal difference. Like, a lot of this comes from the plates that happened earlier and the farm discrepancy that's built up. Oh, right. And Jensen's just been... Well, he's been a Carly all game. This is a little weird. So, the question should be, can they make this play? So they don't know if Jensen is here or not. Okay? So Jensen comes from behind the wall. And so it's unfortunate for Lyric because he uses his E to increase attack speed. And he doesn't think, where could Jensen be? Right? Them hitting this tower I don't think is the end of the world. Xmithy could have passed up towards top and then they could have actually looked for a cross that. Yeah. At that point, well, he couldn't really get out. They overstayed for the tower a little bit. They didn't look at the minimap and see what was going on. So now we think about what these teams do next, right? So TL, I think because of their gold advantage, if they fought right now, they would probably just win. I don't know what their items are right now. Can we see? So Cleaver, Executioner's Blade up top lane for impact. Warmog's done, yeah, and Xmithy is 2 levels up. So if TL fought now, they would just win, right? So they get full control. So CG is now kind of in damage control mode, where they're just trying to stall the game out effectively. Double Lift isn't that strong, but that doesn't matter because Jensen Impact are. And they also have a really strong front line with Xmithy. And Cody Sun isn't going to be enough to just melt through this level 12 Renekton. So, TL at this point have free reign over the game. In an ideal world, they'd like to take out that final tier 1 tower in the top lane because then it gives you full access into the enemy jungle. It makes it a lot easier because you can push your waves deeper, right? So, TL should be looking, given that they have the Akali bot, she can push that in, and I think that they should group up mid, and then they should use push mid to collapse top, and they should look to take this tower. That should just be the simple next step for TL. So they have Akali push bot. They need to push another wave in mid. CG tried to go for a bit of an a fight. So I think Akali staying and pressuring bot. I mean, it's not I mean, I guess that also works. Well, I mean, the play itself isn't terrible. They get what they want, right? I just think that there's an easier add a tower top lane for them to take. For free, really. And I'm surprised that they would try to collapse bot. I mean, like, this strategy in and of where you push in a wave mid and then you rotate bot, it works. In an ideal world, you just have the wave here pressuring this tower as well. But this isn't terrible. This is fine. And in an ideal world, you'd be doing it as like a 4-1 rather than a 3-1. But this is fine. Because look at this whole wave that they're effectively sacrificing to force this fight. But TL is in a pressure advantage. All they actually have to do is disengage from this situation and they come out on top. But they know they're stronger, so they can force a fight. So, I don't think TL did anything wrong. I think the play that they made is fine. I just think they could have gone for this tower. But that's not to say that this play was a mistake. I think Jensen is now overstaying. I don't think he needs to stay for this wave. He should reset with the rest of his team. So notice how everyone is already back out on the map, but Jensen isn't. Now, he gets away with this because he has teleport, but even then, you don't just want to use your teleport frivolously, especially at this point in the game. Double Lift just throws these traps down, being like, trap here, trap here, trap here. Squiggly arrow. So they keep Jensen bot because Impact still has TP. I'd like to just see Jensen group up with his team. Not in the sense of like group and fight, but you know, push bot, group, push bot, group. He can go back to bot lane, just generate numbers, because they really want to take that top tower down. And I think they could be like threatening to dive Huni and stuff, because all of CG is effectively stuck in their base. But they're pretty adamant on playing in these two lanes, which is fine. It's just, remember that their end game is to take this Baron. So now CG make the mistake of trying to collapse top, which they shouldn't do. Why does another fight happen here? Why does this happen? Well, okay, Demonte can't go through his own jungle, just for what it's worth. This is definitely, that jungle does not belong to him. CG think they can force a 4v5, but they can't. Impact gets to move first. A lot of weird fights are happening. I mean, you could argue that it's better for CG to fight rather than slowly bleed out and die, but I think they could pick their moments better. Hey ho. So, because now they win the fight, right? So it's very easy to get the tower. Do they just go to Baron now? I guess so. Jungle is dead. They should be free. Oh! Okay, I'm gonna have to evaluate this one. Can Jensen kill them all? No. Okay, that wasn't a free Baron, was it? Clearly I missed something. What did I miss? So, let's go all the way back to here. Demonte and Lyra are dead. TL used this time in order to secure the tower. So, TP is up for Demonte. Huni is just resetting now. And TL don't do this Baron fast enough effectively. But because they have the TP and TL end up just rushing it, I guess they just don't have the ability to tank it. And then Cody can just come in and then they get all these flanks and then it's like dead. Well, personally I think TL should have just taken the top tower and then they could have set up for a safer Baron, but I can't be angry at them for going for this Baron here. They just killed 2 people. I guess what I can be angry about is the fact that they should have been more aware of what TPs were available. Because you should, like, I could throw out the argument that they should be aware that these TPs are up, which means that there's the possibility of Demonte showing up in this fight. And there are 3 members of CG that is still very healthy. So while the risk of a steal isn't going to happen, there is the risk of a very bad fight. And Double Lift's like, well, oh wait, he had Flash! Okay, Double Lift definitely could have gone out of this situation rather than walking that way. He could just flash over the wall and then base. Well, okay. Maybe Lyra's there. I don't know if in the moment he's thinking, well, Lyra's probably behind me. But if he is, props to him. I guess he might have died anyway. But that Lyra's only level 10, so... CG finally get themselves the mid-tier 1. The problem is they can't turn and fight here either because they don't have any ultimates. I guess the mistake is evaluating how strong their opposition was, and was that they could just get away with this Baron for free with only finding 3 kills, or 2 kills rather. And they're not respecting the teleport. I'm still annoyed that they haven't taken this top tower. About time. Well, Jensen just killing things on a side lane. Just Akali things. Now they're using split mash split mash pressure effectively, because they saw that 2 people got dragged bot because of Jensen, and because they finally stacked up a wave top and took that tower. They get to threaten this tier 2 as well, because also the rest of the members, well, I actually don't, well, they were pretty overextended in mid lane. That's a little dangerous, but I guess they saw Caitlyn, thought they were fine. So again, their resets are slightly mistimed. Oh, Jensen, sell that Doran's ring already. Buy a control ward. So now they're playing the 4-1, right? So remember what they were doing earlier? We're just going to do the same thing. And this here, I feel like it makes a lot more sense. Whereas I think they were doing it a little too early. So the Sejuani stays mid to push, that's fine. I think because Renekton has TP, they could send him top. Pardon me. Brand's about to run out. Yeah, and they can just slowly whittle this down because they have Caitlyn. 3 items with a rapid fire cannon as well. Problem is, like, they're mismanaging their waves. You can see how one is hitting and then the other's hitting and then the other's hitting. And the only reason why TL are getting away with this is because they have a Caitlyn, and so CG can't force an engage onto her. So they're taking advantage of the power of the champion and how good she is at sieging. But if I want to keep being nitpicky, so basically all they have to do is, do you see Akali here on the wave? Just don't kill it. You just wait. You literally just wait. And then when the next wave gets a little bit closer... Oh, no, I guess a fight is happening as well. Oh, is this the game? This looks like the game. So, what I learned from this game, number 1, CG's early game was horrendous. I don't think that was very good. I don't think they knew what to do against the Caitlyn. I don't think they tried to shut it down as effectively as they could. And I think they gave Team Liquid way too much freedom in the early game as possible. What? They gave TL way too much freedom. Much more freedom than they should have. I also think that TL is greedy. They stay on the map much longer than they should. They think they have more time to do things than they actually do. And I think this is a huge thing that they need to be careful of, because it is very exploitable by teams. Especially teams like, I'm going to compare them to G2. G2 is a team that uses their time very efficiently. If there is an opportunity for them to move around the map or make a play or drop a ward or catch a wave, they will do it. One of the reasons why Perks is able to get so much farm while not taking it away from his 2 solo laners is because he's always aware of where he can be and pick up resources while also not falling behind and not being a problem for his team. And if you if you greed and if you stay too long to try and take too many things, you will get punished. Resetting is very important. So what I learned from this game is that TL, they spend too much time on the map, and they need to evaluate more often when can they reset, how they sync their resets up, and also when they can take like easy objectives. I think that if they had taken top tower, they could have threatened the Baron more, and they could have used that to find picks and secure a cleaner game. In the end, it ended up working out because CG tried to force a lot of fights, and you can debate whether that was worth it, because CG, from their perspective, was sitting there thinking, well, we're going to slowly bleed out anyway. And one of the advantages of TL's comp is, because they have Caitlyn, they don't need perfect setup, right? Because of how long her range is, and because she has all these traps, her siege is that much stronger. So as we saw, even though there wasn't another wave crashing in mid lane, and even though CG had all 5 members against that tower, there was nothing they could do against the likes of that Caitlyn. She was just sitting there, chipping away at the tower, and Jarvan was too far behind. So I'm interested to see what happens in the next game. We'll figure out which game we're going to watch next. I would quite like to watch game 4, I think. I might not give chat a choice, because I'd quite like to see what the adaptation follow-up is from this game, and see what Clutch do in order to win. Anyway, YouTubes, that's going to do it for this VOD. The stream will continue. We're going to be jumping into the next VOD in a second. But thank you for watching. You can check out my other VODs on my YouTube channel. I'll see you in the next one.